Every human begins with a natural current of vital energy. When we encounter deep emotional hurts in childhood, that flow hits a sudden, restrictive boundary. On impact, the energy stops. We survive these early pains by constructing rigid psychological walls. These defenses act as a barrier, ensuring the original sting of unhappiness cannot reach us again. These negative attitudes and destructive traits are defense mechanisms, hardened over years to guard against the threat of suffering. Our most hostile behaviors are armored shells, built specifically to shield a vulnerable, original wound. Denying past pain creates a mechanical failure in the psyche. Because the memory is repressed rather than processed, the individual becomes trapped in a loop. This diagram shows the mechanics of that loop. When a painful memory is blocked, it generates a cycle that forces the person to repeatedly re-experience similar hurts in their current life. When these feelings remain unexpressed, the soul's natural energy loses its movement and becomes stagnant. This internal paralysis manifests as a deep apathy, a heavy, motionless energy we recognize as laziness. Since the natural life force is no longer flowing, every forward movement in the world now requires an exhausting, artificial push of the outer will. The very armor designed to save us from suffering has instead paralyzed our movement and drained our vitality. To unfreeze this energy, we must move beyond an intellectual understanding of our defenses and allow ourselves to safely re-experience the feelings we once pushed away. The primary obstacle is the sheer terror of meeting every accumulated emotion we've denied, a weight of pain that can feel like it spans centuries. Avoiding the original pain creates a compounding effect. As the diagram illustrates, a secondary layer of fear forms around the first, leading to a state where one is angry about being angry or frustrated by their own frustration. These secondary layers multiply rapidly, creating a structural rigidity that causes far more psychological harm than the original childhood wound. We are no longer trapped by the events of our past, but by our own terrified reaction to them. To the conscious mind, facing this mass of compounded fear appears as a chaotic, bottomless abyss. Personal pride and the fear of inadequacy create a barrier here. We mistake this emotional descent for literal annihilation, as if entering the pain will result in the total destruction of the self. In reality, the intellectual work already done has weakened these defenses enough to make the process safe. The threat of death is an illusion. Breaking the paralysis requires a voluntary commitment to move directly in and through the most frightening emotions. The mind presents a false choice between stagnation and death, concealing the actual path to resolution. Loosening the stagnant matter within requires stepping directly into the pain we have spent a lifetime avoiding. This is the moment of contact. It is the act of trusting that the descent into these dark feelings will not lead to destruction. Confronting the fear head-on is what initiates the dissolving process. We discover that the abyss has no power once we stop running from it. Passing through this gateway of weakness and hopelessness successfully flushes out the accumulated emotional poison of denial. Removing this block allows for a new influx of energy. This restoration of flow creates a direct, real experience of oneself, replacing the old paralysis with a functional, honest inner life. True power is found not by escaping the dark, but by courageously washing through it.